when you finally accept yourself, you're in no position to judge other people because you've been through it. You had to look at yourself and accept the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I think that so often we're so quick to point the finger at others and to delegate blame games, but we forget that we're just the pot calling the kettle black, that we have our own skeletons in the closet, that we have things that we've buried 6 feet under that we're keeping hidden deliberately because we don't want to be figured out. But there's no shame. That's the piece. We have to know that we are the glue. The love is the glue that's going to bind us together. There is no shame. I have zero shame. I'm an open book with everything, with all my weird stuff that I've had in my life, which I never understood, but it haunted me. And the reason I have no shame is because I know that everyone else has this stuff and it manifests in a different way or in a different light. And everyone's been dealt a different deck of cards. And to point the finger at someone else just reveals to us that we're still not looking at those skeletons and accepting ourselves. We're not accepting ourselves. There's beauty in loving your shadow. There's beauty in loving your light, because a true alchemist takes both of them and creates something. We are alchemists. I love what you said. We're transformationalists. I like that too. We are alchemists, and we came here to become masters. And this is one other thing that I want to point out. There will always be diversity on this planet, always, because it's thanks to that diversity. If you have a billion humans running around that all look different, that all act different, that all talk different, there's bullets coming at you from left and right all day long. What better opportunity? This is the opportunity of a lifetime. What better opportunity than to garner that energy? Meaning, garnering the energy simply means you're not going to act on that impulse. You're not going to have that default factory setting of having that knee-jerk reaction of the ego. And instead, you're going to garner that energy. And that energy is going to allow you to retrace your footsteps back to your higher self, to your original self. So it's not that you're reaching for your higher self. What it is that you're unifying yourself. You're choosing to no longer play in separation. And every time you do play in separation, you feed the ego. And again, the ego is hungry for power. The ego will keep you fragmented. The ego's been doing that our whole lives. Every single thing that you experience in your daily life that is relative to a trigger, any trigger you experience is from the past. It hasn't been canceled out yet. Think about that. The trigger that you experience has not been canceled out. That's why it's still here. That's why it's still here. So you basically transferred that file from the past into your now because you didn't tend to that trauma. It's a trippy thought, right? To think every trigger of mine has been with me my entire life, and it keeps surfacing to be healed. It keeps coming up to be healed. And I keep shoving it down and stuffing it down, putting it off to a later date when I have an opportunity to do it now. With all this information blasting at us, all this information being circulated, this is the momentous time on the planet to fully take self-responsibility. And by the way, self-responsibility doesn't suggest or doesn't imply that you don't have your own opinions. It doesn't mean that you don't have your own opinions, but it does mean that you don't judge other people for their opinions.
It's such a powerful opportunity to take a very courageous look in the mirror right now, because the trigger is asking us to go in and clear it so that we will no longer judge and divide, right? So that we can stand and look at anyone doing anything, because we can look at ourselves doing anything and love ourselves, right? So if you can look at all of your shadow, all the dirty stuff inside that you can't stand, that isn't even dirty, it's just you, right? and honor it, the triggers will start to dissolve, because the individual doing whatever they're doing isn't going to trigger you anymore, because you have tapped into all the dirty laundry, all the dirty stuff, all the shame, all the guilt, all the judgment, all the anger, all the rage, all the hate, all the whatever. So now you're walking around the world and everyone's doing whatever they're doing, and you're no longer triggered. You're no longer judging, you're no longer blaming, you're no longer pointing the finger. You actually are taking self-responsibility for your life now. You're not blaming it on anyone else, right? So it's like all of it goes hand in hand. The triggers are an opportunity to stop dividing. The triggers are an opportunity to stop judging. The triggers are an opportunity to start accepting. But you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start. So you have to start looking at the trigger. You have to start looking at, who do you want to blame for what you're feeling? Who are you blaming? Who are you judging? When you have an opinion and a truth, do you want to tell somebody else theirs isn't true? That's a judgment, right? That's not sharing your truth. That's judging somebody else's truth because it's not yours. We have to get acute. We've been so programmed, so deeply programmed, that we honestly believe that by telling somebody that their truth isn't right, that that's not a judgment, that that's just me speaking my truth. And it's actually not. It's you trying to change someone under this disguise of, oh, I'm just sharing a truth. So the humans have to start to get so acutely aware of how they are being in the world with other humans. Am I accepting or am I judging? Am I blaming or am I accepting? Over and over and over and over. When this trigger comes up, what am I doing? Instantaneously, knee-jerk reaction, I'm going to blame it on the other individual. Great. Can I bring it back? When I go out and I want to yell at people that have a different opinion, that have a different truth, that have a different belief, can I remember that they're me, just on a different side?
Literally you in a different human disguise. That's all.
With a different belief.
That's all. They're you. They're literally source energy that chose to express through a different DNA structure.
Right.
That's all.
And they have a different truth. And what's the problem? It's crazy to start thinking about the divide. It's like, wait, I'm so confused. I get it, but I'm like, I'm a little confused.
Two things I'm getting. When you were talking about triggers, this is what I heard. A trigger is an invitation to a dinner party. Sit at the round table with all of your traumas and you realize that they're not the enemy.